Hi everyone, I'm Carly McGuire. We are here with Monday's edition of Zoo to You, a virtual safari, live here at Denver Zoo. I'm going to wait a couple minutes, see if enough people join for this live stream today. We are in the Central Ranges habitat in the Gerenuk and Crowned Crane exhibit. I am with Christina and Kelsey, and we're talking about some of the more mysterious Central Ranges inhabitants today. So we'll kind of flip the camera around here. I think we have enough people to get started. Hello everyone who's joining us. So let me flip this around. So this is Kelsey, and over there is Christina, and she is giving some browse to our youngest, our female Gerenuk, Agnes. How old is Agnes now, Kelsey?
She is 8 months now.
She's 8 months. She's so cute.
She's growing like a weed.
She really is. So if you have any questions about Gerenuks or our cranes, which also live in this habitat, we can start taking them in the comments. But tell us a little about this species.
So Gerenuk are a really cool species. They're one of only 2 antelope species that can stand up on their hind legs. So they can actually hinge their hips and walk bipedally. Not very far, but far enough from branch to branch. And the reason they do that is to grab with their front legs, with their toes, bring branches down to them so that they can eat. Because these guys are browsers, which means that they eat leaves, so they don't graze on the ground like cows or other grazers.
So anyone who's been to Denver Zoo walked by this habitat. It's one of the very first when you come in, and take a right when you come in. We normally hang around browse over on the fence for them to reach up and get, but you can see Agnes, we just hold it a little higher up there for her because she's so little right now.
See Echo, he's sparring right now with sticks.
Oh, there goes Echo. That is our male. That's her dad?
Yep, that's Echo. He's our male. Yeah, her dad. And those sticks I put in the mud when it was muddy. So now they're nice and stuck in the ground. And he loves to spar with things. So he'll spar with browse bones, with sticks. He'll even spar with the ground. He likes to dig his horns into the grass and tear it up. So they are really enjoying the sunshine after it being so cold.
Absolutely. And who is this on the right?
That's Soomi. That's Agnes's mom. She's 3 years old, and Soomi is her first calf. So she's just being a little more standoffish, but they're usually hand feed from us. They're very comfortable with us being around them. We've worked really hard to desensitize them because being a prey species, they are a very flighty animal, so they spook easy. So we've taken really a lot of effort to get them used to us, get them hand feeding so that they're comfortable around us.
Absolutely. Jason wants to know, how long is their lifespan?
These guys, they'll typically live 8 to 12 years, typically. Longer in captivity due to healthcare mainly and lack of predators.
Absolutely. We have some people asking if we can hold it up higher to see if they can do that bipedal thing, but we're not going to keep food from them. That's their choice if they want to.
Yeah, we will usually hang some up, especially with Agnes right now. We are hanging a lot of things low to make sure she can get it. But Gerenuks can be bipedal within a week of birth. So she should be. But both she and her mom are being a little lazy lately, and they're not standing bipedally. Echo will. He will stand a lot more readily. Especially when spring comes along and the leaves in these trees start going, they'll be on their hind legs all the time getting that new, there you go.
There you go. Thank you, Echo. So viewer, there you go, Matthew. There is Echo demonstrating how they go up on their hind legs to get that browse. Now, Gerenuks are a really gorgeous species. Yeah. Talk about their adaptations and why they're so kind of spindly and thin, and what makes them different from our other hoofstocks like our kudus or bongos.
Right, yeah, our other hoofstock are definitely a lot bulkier. These guys are more light so that they can run away from predators. So some of our other animals like bongo or kudu, they will kind of freeze when a predator comes around and run as a last resort. These guys just take off. So they rely on their speed. And it also helps having those skinny legs and those ears to disperse heat. So they obviously live in a very hot, arid environment, so that all of those adaptations will help them disperse the heat and stay cooler.
Jennifer wants to know, are they social animals, and what's their social structure like in the wild?
These guys live in small herds, so usually only 4 or 5 individuals, and it'll be a single male with a couple females.
Ruby, age 4, wants to know where they sleep.
These guys, they sleep in their stalls. So we have 2 stalls for them inside. We give them shavings beds on top of these kind of like rubber mat beds. And they have heaters in there, so they stay nice and cozy and warm during the winter, because obviously they're not built for real cold weather. So they have their big indoor suite in order to stay warm.
Dylan, age 7, wants to know how much do they eat each day?
Ooh, let's see. How many pounds of grain do you think? 3? Maybe 4? Yeah, probably 2 pounds of grain for the whole herd. And then we give them, what is it, a kig and a half? So about 3 pounds of browse.
Wow, 3 pounds of browse. We also have other guests in this habitat. Over here is our crowned crane. Tell us a little bit about why we can, cohabitate 2 different types of species in this one exhibit.
Yeah, so who you're seeing right there is Casanova. He's our male, and then Francesca is the female in the back. She's a little bit shyer. But yeah, with a lot of different species, and birds and hoofstock are kind of a natural thing to go together. So you'll see a lot of symbiosis with them in the wild. So you'll see oxpeckers on Cape Buffalo, for instance. And so birds and hoofstock, they don't really require the same, they don't compete for resources. So they're a good thing to mesh together because they're not competing in any way.
Tanya wants to know, where do they come from?
Gerenuk, they came from Kenya. That's where they're native. We have the southern Gerenuk. There's actually 2 different species. So northern Gerenuk is actually found, more north. So Ethiopia, Somalia, that area. But these guys are native to Kenya because they're the southern species.
So we've got some questions. Valerie wants to know, can they swim? And a couple questions about how fast they run.
I don't have a number, but they can run fast. Swimming, probably not. Those little tiny hooves, there's not a whole, and those tiny legs, not a lot to push the water with.
No.
Hi, guys.
They're very curious.
Look at you. I know, I should have brought some bugs for them.
Let's see. Sarah wants to know how many babies a female Gerenuk typically has.
1.
One at a time.
They are so small, there's just not enough room to hold more than 1 baby.
Let's see. Do we have to give them hoof trims or pedicures? Lala, age 9, asks.
Oh, good question. So most of the time, no. These guys can wear their hooves pretty much on their own. Echo, we've been keeping an eye on because he has 1 hoof that decided to get long all of a sudden. So they are trained to come into a crate, and we can actually do hoof trims with them while he's in the crate. So we're working on trimming that hoof back a little bit more.
Oh, Jordan has a great question. What is your favorite part about working with Gerenuks?
Oh, they are a really cool species because since they're so flighty, you really have that trusting bond with them. So if they're coming up to you and eating out of the food, that means out of your hand, that means they trust you. And so being a prey animal, risking it all to come up to a very big person, that trust is really special. So I really enjoy that aspect, and Agnes is pretty flippin' cute.
Yes, she is. Yes, so Amber, we have 2 adults and 1 juvenile.
Yes.
So that is Agnes right there in the middle. On either side of her are her parents, Echo and Soomi. Echo was back there doing a little bit more sparring, and Agnes is coming up a little closer. She's a little curious.
Another reason why I like this species, they're very expressive. So you don't really think of that with hoofstock, but I was kind of hoping she would do it as she walked towards us. But she has this sassy little, this like rapid head nod. So that's when she's feeling sassy, like, I don't like what you're doing right now, or I want that food now, not later. So they do have very expressive faces. And when they're having fun, they'll spronk around the yard. And that's...
Spronk?
Yeah, the best way to describe that is it's when they bounce around the yard and all their feet come up off the ground at the same time. Yeah, so that's it's a very... what are you looking at? So yeah, that's called spronking. It's a very special behavior, and they only do it when they're excited and kind of having fun.
Well, this is a great follow-up to that. Emery and Corinne want to know, do they each have their own personalities?
Yes. Do you want to say anything about their personalities?
Yeah, so they definitely all have their own personalities. In fact, a lot of our hoof stock here, when we work with them a lot of people tend to think that herd animals don't have personalities, they just kind of follow each other around. But the truth of the matter is, once you start working with them and training them and things like that, you start to learn that each and every one have a unique personality. In this particular case, Agnes is definitely our little spunky child. She's very sassy, just in her mannerisms, and just her, she's very fearless. Ever since she was born, you know, her mother, as you could see, is very little more standoffish from us, but from day one, she was all up in our business and taking food from us and just wanting to know what we were doing. Mom, like I said, she takes food from us and she's a real sweet girl, but she enjoys her space. And Dad, Echo, is, I don't know how to describe
He's
Echo.
a nerd. He likes to spar with the ground, you know? He's just like this typical male who's got to get all of his energy out.
We have a question about the cranes. Someone's wondering, is there a special name for the hair things on top of their head?
I call them poofs.
And they're just feathers. They're not fur or anything. Everything on them is feathers. So these are West African or black crowned cranes. So that would be their crown. And yeah, those are just modified feathers on the tops of their heads. The one in front is our male Casanova, and the one behind him is our female Francesca.
Oh, wow. Well, they're beautiful.
Yeah, and those markings on their sides, those are just skin. So the white and the red patches on their cheeks, no feathers there. That's just the color of their skin, and it is super soft. Of course, they don't let us near them so that we could pet them all the time. But when we have a procedure or have to trim their nails, their cheeks are very, very soft and very cute.
Well, I think they just look fabulous. Cindy, Christine, thank you so much for donating. Remember, you can donate by hitting that button right there in the Facebook Live, or by going to our website. Our baby rhino still needs a name, so you can also support us by voting for her name, one of the 3 options we put on that. Catherine is asking, where are the hornbills? They don't live in this exhibit.
No, so we're phasing out Abyssinian ground hornbill. There's more of a need in zoos to house southern hornbills. So we sent our male and our female off to different zoos. Our female went to San Diego. Where did Billy go? Can't remember where Billy went. So they went to other zoos to get other breeding partners because they had plenty of babies together. We do still have our last set of babies, but they're behind the scenes. We took them out of this yard when Agnes was really little because they're carnivorous and they're troublemakers, and she was very tiny. So we decided just to take them out for the time being. And they also have breeding recommendations and are going to be shipped to other zoos, but with everything going on, they haven't been able to be shipped out yet. So they've got their own yard on the other side of the hoofstock department.
And completely spoiled.
Yes,
Spoiled
they are.
rotten.
Jason wants to know, how much do they weigh?
The Gerenuk, the adults are around 60 pounds. Little Agnes is around 12 right now.
So they're very light.
They're very light.
It
for hoofstock.
allows them to kind of move fast.
Yep.
Away from predators. Oh my gosh, they are so cute. How small was Agnes when she was born?
3 kigs.
Yeah, I was going to say 6 pounds.
6 pounds.
So she's doubled then.
Yeah.
Easy math.
6 pounds. She was about the size of a human baby when she was born.
Yeah.
But at least in weight. What about kind of dimension?
She was spindly.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby Gerenuks are the most alien, cutest thing you've seen. Because they're just tiny. They're all head and legs.
Neck, legs, and then that 6 pounds is all in their little body.
When will she be full grown or independent from mom?
From a feeding standpoint, she's independent now. She doesn't nurse anymore. She tries every once in a while, and sometimes maybe she gets something, but I haven't actually seen her get a good nurse on in a couple of weeks now. So from a food standpoint, she's completely on her own. From a growth standpoint, they're usually completely full grown by 1.5 to 2 years.
1.5 to 2 years. So if you've been with us since the beginning, that piece of browse they're munching on was like a full lush branch when we started this just about 15 minutes ago. And now it's almost wiped clean. And is that just one of their adaptations? They can eat really fast and just strip those leaves right off the branch?
Yeah, so they're very adapted for what they do. They use their lips and their tongue to really search out those tender leaves and pull them into their mouths and get them off those branches. So they don't actually have teeth on the top. They have the hard palate and then teeth on the bottom. So they'll use those lips and that tongue to bring those leaves in and just start snipping them off and hoovering them.
Very, very similar to giraffes.
Yes.
The way they do. What are their closest relatives?
I would have to say they're probably closest related to like the gazelle kind of family. They're kind of their own thing though, with the hinged hips and stuff like that. They are an antelope species, but they actually, Gerenuk actually means giraffe-necked in Somali. So they, a lot of that is because they have the long neck, they feed like a giraffe, they actually have a black tongue like a giraffe.
Look at our happy little family over there.
I know.
They're having a great afternoon. It is so beautiful outside today. Does anyone have questions about the cranes? Everyone wants to know, do they get along well? Why aren't the cranes flying away? Anything like that?
They do get along really well. They actually kind of occupy different parts of the yard. They'll move around each other. I've never seen any aggression between them. The most excitement that they get is if one of the Gerenuks starts doing the spronking and going around the yard and the crane happens to be perceived to be in the way, then of course the crane kind of flies off to get out of the way, but it's never anything that is negative.
What makes this a species that we can actually go in with? Oh, there he goes, getting up on his hind legs.
A lot of it is just our safety precautions and things like that. We've worked a lot with these guys, and they are more apt to run away from us than run towards us. So, and their size and things like that. So we're able to come in here and work around them. We do a lot of our training and a lot of things protected contact with them. But because of some of the flight risk around them and stuff, we do try to do a lot of interaction with them inside the yard as well, because the more we can do like that, the less of a flight response we're going to get from them.
Hi, Tanya. We addressed this earlier. Gerenuks are not really built for swimming. Their legs are just really spindly and really wouldn't be great for swimming. No one's asked this yet, but I know people are always curious. Are they soft? Are the Gerenuk soft?
Their bellies are soft. So like their top hairs are kind of coarse, but so our old Gerenuk, I like to say they have a Buddha belly. So if you were able to go up and like touch their neck and touch their body and everything, it's very reduced muscle tone, reduced everything, and then they have the majority of their weight in that belly. So you go to that belly and just think about giving it a good squish. It's like a little squishy marshmallow.
Catherine asks, has Agnes been able to stand up on her own yet?
We have not seen her, and we're really disappointed in her. No, she was actually born, like we said, in September. And so we think that a lot of the reason why we haven't seen her stand up is because she hasn't had a lot of opportunity outside where there's ground. She has good footing, things like that. We try to hang stuff higher inside, but it's actually more natural for them to come out here and stand against a tree and stuff like that. So she hasn't really been able to mimic her parents all that much either. So we're actually hoping now that it's spring and it's nice and everybody gets to go outside, she can see her dad doing it right now, that will encourage her to stop making us wait.
And there they go. They absolutely cleaned off that browse that you put out here just 20 minutes ago. So we are going to take a couple more questions before we wrap this up. Amy wants to know, do we groom them?
We do not groom them. They maintain their own coat. As Kelsey said earlier, if they have issues with hooves and things like that, we definitely try to manage that. But just from a natural standpoint, like, they manage their own coats and manage their own cleaning system. In fact, Agnes likes to groom her parents quite often.
Harper and Wyatt want to know what the cranes eat.
They eat a specialized crane grain. They also get bugs. I know Kelsey threw some bugs for them just a few minutes ago. I think they probably cleaned those up already. But they love bugs, they love produce, crickets, things like that.
And Gavin, age 7, wants to know how big the cranes were when they were born.
Oh, I don't know. They didn't come here as babies.
Yeah, think of how big an egg is. Their eggs are not very big.
No.
Probably like that. So they're that big.
They-
Were hatched, not born.
Hey Lala, thanks for always tuning in watching. Their tongues are very similar to giraffes. They're black like a giraffe's, and they do the same function of stripping all of the leaves and even sometimes the bark off of branches like that. Okay, let's see. Hunter, age 6, wants to know how long a Gerenuk is pregnant for.
They are pregnant for 6.5 to 7 months.
6.5 so close to human gestation. Not...
Yeah, a little less, but it's usually closer to 7. But we always have to put that range in there.
Because we can't really check all the way back to date of conception.
Right.
So we do a little estimation, but it's not nearly as long as say our rhino.
Correct.
Or nearly as short as our carnivores or mammals like the lions, which is only a couple months.
Correct. And the big difference with them and like other hoof stock, since you brought up carnivores, is that they are in there a little longer than them, but also they're able to run, get up and stand and nurse and do all the things within minutes. So
Minutes. Does that help them in the wild keep away from those predators?
it does. So the sooner you can get up and move, the less likely you are to get eaten. So these guys tend to be hiders in the wild, which means that even though they can get up and nurse, mom will usually tuck them away somewhere, and then mom will come back and check on them, nurse them, tuck them back somewhere, which is going back to the hornbill thing, why we took the hornbills out, because we weren't convinced that the baby would get up with the hornbills around.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Zoo to You virtual safari. This will be posted in full on our YouTube channel later in the day. So if you missed any of this from the beginning, you can go check it out later today. These also live on our website, denverzoo.org/zoo to you. Parents, we also have a lot of fun educational resources for you to do with your kids while you're home. So if you want animals, education, you just need to go to denverzoo.org. Thank you to everyone who has donated. We really appreciate it. Thank you to Kelsey and Christina, and we'll just leave you there with Echo going more. Or is that Soomi?
That's Soomi.
Oh, that's Soomi. So hopefully, Agnes is watching mom there. So thank you to everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow.